Hey everybody, welcome back to the Behavior Revolution. And we're going through the BRS, the Behavior Revolution scriptures, and we're still in Revelation. And today we're going to finish chapter 14. It's taken us 3 sessions this time to get through chapter 14. Remember, it started with the new song, 144,000 singing with the Lamb, the new song. That was at the beginning of chapter 14. Then our last session, we were dealing with the 3 angels flying through the skies, warning mankind. It's like one last warning. Here, look, right here. Revelation's final warning. These angels were flying through the sky, telling the world basically that it said the good news, the good message, which we always thought was a wonderful message of love, which it is. But to the world, it's a case of Torah's right, you're wrong, repent, or you dead, mate. All right? So that's what these angels are. It's one last chance before these bowls of wrath get dropped. So we're going to finish. It's not that long, this session. Last few verses of chapter 14, we're going to finish right here. So it's all about the harvest. This last part of the chapter, let's go into it. I looked and saw a white cloud, and sitting on the cloud was one like the son of Adam, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Then another angel came out of the temple and called out to the one who was sitting on the cloud, "Take the sickle and gather from the earth. The time to harvest has come, and the fruit on the earth is ripe." So the one who was sitting on the cloud, this is obviously Yahushua. Look, there's a golden crown, one like the son of Adam. We know that's an old from the visions of Daniel and the other guy who's left my head, Ezekiel. From Daniel and Ezekiel, one like the son of Adam means one like a human being, son of man, son of Adam. This was not just Elohim. This guy looked like a human being. How can Elohim be a human being? Because as we know, Elohim became a human being. So this is all about Yahushua. He's the one who's going to do the sickling and the harvesting. So they say, take your sickle, gather from the earth, that harvest is ripe. So the one who was sitting on the cloud, Yahushua, swung his sickle over the whole earth, and the earth was harvested. Just like that. The earth was harvested. Then another angel came out of the temple in heaven. This is all the heavenly temple, carrying a sharp sickle. And another angel, one with power over fire, came from the altar, calling to the angel with the sharp sickle, saying, "Take your sharp sickle and gather the bunches of grapes from the earth's vine. The earth's grapes are ripe." And if you look up the word ripe in Hebrew, basically means bearing an abundance of fruit. What does that speak to us about? Behavior. So we've had the one who was sitting on a cloud swung his sickle. So Yahushua is doing this harvesting here, swinging his sickle over the whole earth, and the earth was harvested. Yahushua's harvesting here, and then down here, because this harvest was ripe, then down here, an angel speaks to this angel with a sharp sickle, saying, "Take your sharp sickle, gather the bunches of grapes. The earth's grapes are ripe." The earth's people's behaviors have come to completion. Everything that mankind is going to become, it's become. It's fully going on in the earth. The behavior, good and bad, those matured, Yahushua is going to harvest. And these guys, look what happens to these guys. The angel swung his sickle over the earth, gathering the earth's grapes, and he threw them into the great winepress of Yahuwah's wrath. So this isn't for the loyal, obedient bride, is it? These grapes are being thrown into the winepress of Yahushua's wrath. The grapes were squeezed in this winepress outside the city. Interesting. Don't forget that. Outside the city. Who else was pressed, crushed outside the city? Where blood flowed from it, rising as high as the horses' heads for 300 kilometers. The blood flows as high as horses' heads for 300 kilometers. So this isn't a very nice harvest, is it? Speaking of the blood that's going to be shed, let's talk about this harvest briefly. What does harvest mean? We think we know. Let's have a look. In the Hebrew understanding, if you look up harvest, you get to gather. It's rejoicing, a celebration of thanksgiving for harvest. Merry, praise. Severed, could be in a good way or a bad way. You're severed. Harvest, as reaped. The crop, the time, the reaper. Also a limb of a tree or simply foliage. Bow, branch. Harvest, man. To dock off, curtail, especially to harvest grass or grain. Cut down. Much discouraged. Grieve, harvestman. To loathe, mourn, reap, trouble, or vex. Take all this to yourself. That's what this Hebrew understanding is for. Take it. This is what travels through time to us. And we go, oh, that relates to maybe what I'm going through. Yeah. So once we've got our Hebrew understanding, we put some scripture to it. Of course, there are many scriptures about harvest, but the one who's doing the study, in this case myself, you just feel Yahusha speaking to you through certain scriptures that you get. Genesis 8, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night will not cease. So for those who are doomsday prepping and building underground, bunkers and things like that, waiting for, World War III, World War IV, nuclear holocaust, all that sort of stuff, waiting for all this stuff, what does Yahusha say about the earth and the seasons? Now, I'm not cancelling out any of those things, by the way, but I'm just saying, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night will not cease. It will just keep going and going and going, just like it was in the day of Noah. People were marrying and giving in marriage, eating, drinking, for tomorrow we die. Their merriment and their debauchery and their idolatry just gets worse and worse and worse until it just happens. So don't be looking for necessarily things to be really, really, really bad, although they already are, because it'll just happen. Yeah? Exodus 34, 6 days you work, but on the seventh day you rest. In earing time and in harvest time, you will still rest, no matter what season the earth is in, or what you are in your life, in your walk with Yahusha. No matter what season, time or season, 6 days you will work. The seventh day you will rest. In earing time and in harvest time. Earing is in the ear of the grain. So, it's pretty sturdy statement about the Shabbat day, isn't it? You rest, you do it. It's for your benefit. You're stupid if you don't. You're stupid. He doesn't want to do nothing for a whole day. Proverbs 10 and a bit of 20 as well. The wise son gathers and saves during the harvest, but the son who sleeps and does nothing during the harvest causes great shame. He is a sluggard, not wanting to plow, saying it's too cold. So he will end up begging during the harvest. Even the ants gather in know that scripture? Preparing. Be prepared. Thrash the sickle in Joel 3. Thrash the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, tread the grapes, for the winepress is full, and the barrels will be full and spilling over, because their evil is great. This is using the same language here. For those of you who might have wondered why he used grapes as far as referring to the evil, well, most of the things in Revelation are not original. The visions might be, but the language that John uses to describe his visions are generally what he's filled himself with, all the books of the older blood covenant scriptures. So that's why here it's using the same language. Thrash the sickle. Sounds like scripture in Revelation, doesn't it? The harvest is ripe. Come, tread the grapes, for the winepress is full, and the barrels will be full and spilling over, because their evil is great. See how he's continuing on the language of this prophet Joel? Matthew 9, Yahusha said, here we go, the harvest is truly plentiful, but the workers are few. So pray to the master of the harvest that he will send more workers into the field. Pray. It's our next study on Acts, which I'll give to you shortly. All about prayer. Prayer relationship, your communication, what you ask, what you present to the Father, and why. Yeah. Mark 13, but you, watch out. I've told you everything in advance. In those days, after that trouble, the sun will grow dark, the moon will stop shining, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers in the heaven will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Adam coming in the clouds with tremendous power and esteem. He will send out his angels and gather together his chosen people from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. From the ends of the earth. Does that mean the earth is flat? No, it's an expression. Four corners of the earth, the four winds of the earth. Then they will send the Son of Adam coming. See, this is about a harvest. The angels being sent out to harvest the chosen people. See how it's all relating? The language is all clicking together. This one was good. This is what we're going to touch on a bit more today. Yahushua put before them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while people were sleeping, his enemy came and sowed poisonous darnel among the wheat. Then went away, buggered off. Then the wheat sprouted and formed heads of grain. The darnel, when the wheat sprouted and formed heads of grain, the darnel weeds also appeared. So the owner's servants came to him and said, Sir, didn't you sow good field in your field? Where have the darnel come from? And he answered, An enemy has done this. An enemy. The servants asked him, Then do you want us to go and pull them up? But he said, No, because if you pull up the darnel, you might uproot some of the good wheat at the same time. Chill. Let them both grow together until the harvest. And at harvest time, I will tell the reapers to collect the darnel first and tie them in bundles to be burnt, but to gather the wheat into my barn. Yeah? I will tell the reapers to collect the darnel first and tie them in bundles to be burnt, but to gather the wheat into my barn. Christianity, Christendom, religion thinks that there's going to be some supernatural cosmic rapture that takes them out of the earth so they don't have to endure any kind of tribulation, any kind of pressure. They won't have to go through anything because they've become mature based on their fivefold, apostolic ministry, a prophet, pastor, teacher, all that sort of stuff, evangelist. They're bringing their church to maturity, their global church. They're going to be raptured out. Excuse me, who gets taken out first? The darnel or the wheat? There very well may be a supernatural divine lifting out of people. But who goes first, according to Yahushua here? The wheat or the tares? The wheat or the darnel? It's the darnel. So if there's a supernatural lifting and gathering of said people, you don't want to be in it. You don't want to be in it. You want to be left behind, trust me, because they're getting thrown in the fire, which is symbolic of destruction. No such thing as eternal hellfire and damnation. Catholicism invented that. But destruction, ceasing to exist, is the result. So can you see, that's what religion talks about. It's nonsense. Yahushua says the wheat will be gathered last. So here in this vision, John sees Yahushua's harvest, where the earth is full of wheat and weeds that have grown up together. And as with this parable, there will be two harvests simultaneously. Two harvests. Although in Yahushua's parable, one happens first and then the next one. But in Revelation, you see, in Revelation, you see that Yahushua does a harvest and then the angels are reaping as well. See the difference? There will be two harvests simultaneously. The good wheat will be harvested, separated out and placed into Yahushua's own barn, while the weeds, the grapes, will also be harvested, but they will be gathered into bundles and destroyed, burnt up. It seems self-evident that the harvest performed by Yahushua is of his own bridal fellowship, while the harvest of the angels is of the wicked, that is to be burnt up, the darnel. Just as the scapegoat was taken outside the camp and Yahushua's blood was shed also outside of Jerusalem, this huge bloodbath will happen outside of the city also, outside and away from the protection of Yahushua's reign. Where is the city now? Where is the set-apart land now? The Holy Land, where is it now? It's not a geographical place, unless you consider yourself geography. This is the set-apart place right now. How do we know that? Because this is the only place on earth where there is a divine interdimensional portal, like on the tabernacle, on the ark, on the temple, on the ark, in Yahushua himself, and then after the day of Pentecost on his people. Remember that? All these little portals opened up on people's hearts. Therefore, that is the set-apart place. That is the temple. He even said, your body is the temple. That was the only purpose of a temple, to house the ark, the divine portal. That is us. That is, and so his bride, his fellowship, is the new Jerusalem. He even says to John later on, it's coming up, we're about halfway through Revelation. At the end it says, look, behold, I'll show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. Does he go and show him a woman? Does he go and show him the Lamb's? No, he shows him a city. We are the city. We are being trained, rubbing up at like lively stones, rubbing up and against each other, sharpening. Iron is to iron, and one day we'll be fitted together to form this new city. So, see what's happening here? This bloodbath will be happening away from us. Will not be happening in us. Yahushua is already in the process of gathering and separating his bride from the four corners of the world. I believe that. Yahushua is already in the process of gathering and separating his bride from the four corners of the world. It's a time of great rejoicing for the wheat and sorrow for the darnel. Each time Yahushua swings his mighty sickle upon the earth, another severing and separation occurs, drawing his beloved closer to him and removing obstacles and problems and people and situations that weigh them down from serving in his light as kings and priests. That's what the priests did. They served in the light. They were servicing the tabernacle, servicing the temple that housed the light. They were serving the light. If they didn't do their tasks, the light would be gone. The removal of discord to allow harmony to reign and shine. The bride has been chosen. The bride's already been chosen. You don't have to go out there and find the bride, convert people into the bride. No. He knows who his bride is. That's not to say that we don't have to be harvest workers, harvestmen, harvest women, harvest people. The harvest is big, but the people are few. Pray to the master for the harvest, people to work in the harvest. We need to be working in the harvest, but not of our own control, not of our own doing. We have to be ready. He wants to possess us, so he will put people in front of us that he has already been speaking to or sowed seeds in, or, given them thoughts, whatever they'll be. He's working on their hearts, and he will use us to help sow seeds. Water, some plant, some people reap a harvest. So he will use us. The bride's already been chosen, the harvest is upon us, and the separation has begun. The harvest is upon us. Separation has begun. Do you face that? This is really serious. Just look at the nightly news and you'll see how bad the world is getting. So I believe we're about to come into, as far as, this is the end of chapter 14, isn't it? End of chapter 14? Yeah. Chapter 15 is when the bowls of wrath start getting introduced. And the bowls of wrath don't just influence a third of mankind, a third of the world. They affect the world globally. And I believe those bowls, I believe that's where we're up to in history. Those bowls, some people think COVID affected the whole world. It kind of did, but it kind of didn't also. So I think it's going to affect the whole world. When these bowls get dished out, I think that's where we're up to in Revelation anyway. The bowls are about to be hurled onto the earth. So It's very close, brothers and sisters. It's time to take it really seriously. Yahushua wants to possess you and use you for his purposes. So if you don't go there, if you don't listen and do and be obedient, it's your fault. As we've been discussing in our assembly lately, it's your fault. Any consequences you get, it's your fault.
Black of bees came to make it hotter. We beat the fire starter, bubbling up just like lava, heated like a sauna, penetrating through your body armor. Rhythmically we massage ya, with hip hop mixed up with samba, So yes, y'all. You know we never stop, we never rest, y'all. The black of bees will keep it funky fresh, y'all. And we won't stop until we get y'all, say yeah.
Peter Piper pick peppers, but I rock rhymes. 1, 2, 3, 4, several times. Heavy rotation played by every kind. Radio station blessing every mind. We crossing boundaries like every day. Do Bobby, been the on the bay. We got tab magnification, tab magnify like every day.
So yes, y'all. You know we never stop, we never rest, y'all. The black of bees will keep it funky fresh, y'all. And we won't stop until we get y'all, say yeah.
Drop hot, be my daily operation. Gotta put in work in this crazy occupation. Gotta keep it moving, that's the motivation. Gotta ride the waves and keep a tight relation with my team. Keep it moving and doing it right. Up in the lab every day till daylight. That's the way things move in this monkey business.
We took an old samba song and remixed it.
Mais que nada, sai da minha frente que